What's up, guys? Welcome to the Outer Nexus. Tonight, we will be going over the first agentic OS in the world. Microsoft Windows has released that they are going to be turning Windows into the first agentic AI operating system. To much chagrin, literally nobody asked for that, and it's already causing a ton of problems.
So, Mark,
Yeah,
let me ask you, as a good news anchor here,
yeah.
what is agentic?
What is agentic?
Yeah.
It means basically an AI model that can work on its own.
Yeah.
It can go out and perform tasks.
So if you said instead of having to program something to go do this,
Yeah.
you just say go do this, and it knows how to do that.
Basically, I mean, it may need some oversight.
Yeah.
But what I'm about to pull up is basically agents that don't need oversight at all. And we have them. We have agentic agents that don't really need any oversight at all. It's kind of what you're saying, but a lot of them do still need oversight. But let's pull up this article and let's see what the Chinese got up to.
Always a fun topic.
Always a fun topic. So, Chinese hackers use Anthropic's AI to launch automated cyber espionage campaign. State-sponsored threat actors from China used artificial intelligence technology developed by Anthropic to orchestrate automated cyber attacks as part of a highly sophisticated espionage campaign in mid-September 2025. The attackers used AI's agentic capabilities to an unprecedented degree, using AI not just as an advisor, but to execute the cyber attacks themselves, the AI upstart said. The activity is assessed to have manipulated Claude Code, Anthropic's AI coding tool, to attempt to break into about 30 global targets spanning large tech companies, financial institutions, chemical manufacturing companies, and government agencies. A subset of these intrusions succeeded. Anthropic has since banned the relevant accounts and enforced defensive mechanisms to flag such attacks. The campaign, GTG 1002, marks the first time a threat actor has leveraged AI to conduct a large-scale cyber attack without major human intervention and for intelligence collection by striking high-value targets, indicating continued evolution in adversarial use of the technology. Describing the operation as well-resourced and professionally coordinated, Anthropic said the threat actor turned Claude into an autonomous cyber attack agent to support various stages of the attack lifecycle, including reconnaissance, vulnerability discovery, exploitation, lateral movement, credential harvesting, data analysis, and exfiltration. Specifically, it involved the use of Claude Code and model context protocol tools, with the former acting as the central nervous system to process the human operator's instructions and break down the multi-stage attack into smaller technical tasks that can be offloaded to subagents. The human operator tasked instances of Claude Code to operate in groups as autonomous penetration testing orchestrators and agents, with the threat actor able to leverage AI to execute 80 to 90% of the tactical operations independently at physically impossible request rates, the company added. Human responsibility centered on the campaign initialization and authorization decisions at critical escalation points. Human involvement also occurred at strategic junctures, such as authorizing progression from reconnaissance to active exploitation, approving use of harvested credentials for lateral movement, and making final decisions about data exfiltration, scope, and retention. So you can see that. The system is part of an attack framework that accepts as input a target of interest from a human operator and then leverages the power of NCP to conduct reconnaissance and attack surface mapping. In the next phases of the attack, the Claude-based framework facilitates vulnerability discovery and validates discovered flaws by generating tailored attack payloads. Upon obtaining approval from human operators, the system proceeds to deploy the exploit and obtain a foothold and initiate a series of post-exploitation activities. In one case targeting an unnamed technology company, the threat actor is said to have instructed Claude to independently query databases and systems and parse results to flag proprietary information and group findings by intelligence value. What's more, Anthropic said its AI tool tool generated detailed attack documentation at all phases, allowing the threat actors to likely hand off persistent access to additional teams for long-term operations after the initial wave. By presenting these tasks to Claude as routine technical requests through carefully crafted prompts and established personas, the threat actor was able to induce Claude to execute individual components of attack chains without access to the broader malicious context, per the report. There is no evidence that the operational infrastructure enabled custom malware development. Rather, it has been found to rely extensively on publicly available network scanners, database exploitation frameworks, password crackers, and binary analysis suites. However, the investigation into the activity has also uncovered a crucial limitation of AI tools: their tendency to hallucinate and fabricate data during autonomous operations, cooking up fake credentials, or presenting publicly available information as critical discoveries, thereby posing major roadblocks to the overall effectiveness of the scheme. The disclosure comes nearly 4 months after Anthropic disrupted another sophisticated operation that weaponized Claude to conduct large-scale theft and extortion of personal data in July 2025. Over the past 2 months, OpenAI and Google have disclosed attacks mounted by threat actors leveraging ChatGPT and Gemini, respectively. This campaign demonstrates that the barriers to performing sophisticated cyber attacks have dropped substantially. Threat actors can now use agentic AI systems to do the work of entire teams of experienced hackers with the right setup, analyzing target systems, producing exploit code, and scanning vast data sets of stolen information more effectively than any human operator. Less experienced and less resource groups can now potentially perform large-scale attacks of this nature. And then, almost like right after that, Microsoft issues an urgent warning to Windows 11 users. The new Agentic OS features that allow AI agents to operate also open the door to malware. Wow, you think? The company says the users must be administrators to enable the experimental Agentic AI features, which will be off by default due to the confirmed risk of cross-prompt injection. Well, hopefully they're off by default. For now, yeah. So, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. Microsoft issued an important warning. Only enable the feature if you understand the security implications. And then here's the most important takeaway here. For months, Microsoft has teased that Windows 11 would slowly evolve into an agentic OS, much to the dismay of its users online. Still, the company has pushed ahead with its vision, and we're now at the point where the first truly agentic capabilities are launching on the platform. This setting could, yeah, okay. So this is the thing. It can only be turned on by administrators for now. The problem is, this is their business model.
Yeah.
Microsoft has put so much money into AI development.
It's the only company that's done this.
It's the only company. Yeah, currently we have a circle jerk of like 7 huge companies just shifting money around, saying that they're gonna, pay for all this AI stuff. But the thing is, with Microsoft in particular, this is very likely what their business model, based on those projections, will be. Like, they are going to make all of this money as long as they can integrate this AI into their OS.
Yes.
Because the reality is, and I remember this, I'm an IT professional, I remember over 10 years ago, now I think it's over 10 years ago now, when they announced Windows 10, and they announced that Windows 10 was going to be the last operating that you'll ever need, and they're just going to update Windows 10 from there, kind of like OS X, like Mac OS X, and they're just going to push out updates for Windows 10, and they're just going to keep it updated that way, and that would have worked. That would have been totally fine. I think everybody would have been okay with that. Windows 10 was a fantastic operating system, so it was actually kind of weird when Windows 11, I mean, obviously economists knew Windows 11 was coming, but it was kind of weird when they announced Windows 11 because it was just an unnecessary update to 10.
Yes.
It just did nothing.
Yeah, like why update the number to 11 when really it's just 10 plus another update?
It literally could have just been a Windows 10 update.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact is, the bottom line, like, at a shareholders meeting, They are asking, okay, now where's Windows 11?
Yeah, because where is the big money that comes in when you have a new product?
Yeah. Yeah, how are you going, if Windows 10 is going to be your permanent OS, how are you going to have that push of revenue for a whole new product again? Yeah. And see, and they were trying to monetize Windows 10 with like ads and the Windows Store and things like that, and it was relatively non-invasive. So basically what that means is it wasn't working. You know, it wasn't really working as well. And I feel like that's the same deal here. Is that their monetization of Windows isn't really working, so they absolutely need to integrate AI into Windows to justify all of this crazy revenue projection.
Yeah. See, and here's the problem with stuff like this agentic AI, in my opinion, with especially with Microsoft.
Yeah.
Is if it was going to be implemented in a way that was good for the end user, it's like this wouldn't be a bad thing.
It wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah. But it's not.
It's not.
What they're going to use this for is they're absolutely going to push it so that like the empty spaces in like where like in like Windows that you use now.
Yeah.
Like, why not put an ad there?
Yeah, why not put an ad there?
Yeah, because it can now.
It can.
Yeah, like, you know, like, oh, you're doing something on Windows.
Yeah.
How about I offer you like a little
pop-up right there. A little
pop-up right there.
In that dead space.
Yeah, well, sometimes not even in the dead space, but like,
dead space,
if you're just like searching something, it's like, you know, now, because one of the biggest problems you have with Google now is like, you're not getting the information, you're getting the ads.
Well, that already happens in Windows 11 when you actually try to use the search command, which would normally just, in Windows 10 and prior, would just pull up stuff on your computer. Now it pulls up stuff from the web and products you can buy.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is it's going to do that.
Yeah.
And because it's like you're trying to like just use it.
Yeah.
But the only way to use it is to go through that system, which is always going to just bombard you with ads.
Yeah.
So it's like a permanent version of like, because you're not going to be like using it normally anymore. The only way to use it is going to be in that window where the ads are.
Yes. Yeah. And let me pull this up. This is pretty funny.
And it's going to steal all your stuff.
Oh, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that specifically. So this entire Reddit thread is just amazing. Microsoft AI CEO pushes back against critics after recent Windows AI backlash. The fact that people are unimpressed is mind blowing to me. So it kind of gives off big Blizzard Diablo 4.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You guys all have phones, right? Yeah. Like this thread is amazing. Hold on. This is approaching the levels of negative feedback that only EA was able to achieve previously. Blizzard too. Blizzard's right there. Blizzard is Microsoft now. Oh yeah, that's right.
There it is.
Fucking Microsoft was Blizzard. That's right. This fucking didn't even spare Notepad from this bullshit.
And that's saying something. Think about that. Like, not even Notepad.
Yeah, Notepad didn't even survive.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, suffering from having his head up his ass. Nobody asked for this. Hold on. There's some pretty juicy ones here. Yeah, this one's a good one. The fact that people are unimpressed is mind-blowing to me. And regarding Windows becoming an agentic OS, his post was so negatively received that he was forced to turn off replies, though he did later respond to reassure customers that the company was aware of the feedback. So negatively received that you had to disable comments, and your response is, "I'm aware of the feedback." Major, it is the children who are wrong. Recently had this shit forced on me at work. Copilot, I can help you make formulas and macros in Excel. Excel, don't trust formulas and macros made by Copilot. Yeah, this is the crazy shit that's going to happen here. Yeah, this is it. Here we go. There's a nugget of insight here. The true believers see what they are doing as Mother Bountiful, ushering in a new age of AI utopia. They literally don't see them as destroying anything. They don't see that they're breaking trust, being intrusive, giving people things they don't want. They don't understand that it's possible that people could not want it. This, to me, is more dangerous and scary than the cynical moves for stakeholders. Cynical moves for stakeholders will back down after backlash backlash will reassess when it affects their bottom line. The true believers will burn everything to the ground because they crave the world of ash. That's a little dramatic, but I think it's accurate because basically these guys are living in their own tech bubble.
Yeah.
And can't, it's just like with the Blizzard thing. They can't even understand why people wouldn't want this.
Yeah, because they have a certain vision of it, like that thing was saying, and they can't. In the quote, they were saying, that a world of ash.
Yeah,
that's not what the tech people are seeing.
Yeah,
they're seeing their AI utopia.
They're seeing their AI utopia.
But like you said, they're living in a bubble. They're not affected by the ads, all this stuff, because they're getting it through different means. Like if they want answers to something, they probably don't even use their own product.
Yeah.
They have someone go get those answers for them.
Exactly.
So it's like, you guys don't live in the same world that we do. So when you come up with these things, it just always seems like the best version of something.
Yeah.
Like they're helping everybody. But
yeah,
once everybody tells them, hey, we don't want this, they just, we're aware of your response.
Yeah.
And like they said, it's almost like the children are wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, like, if people say they don't want it, why would you go with it?
Yeah.
Like, that's literally market research.
And the thing is, like, this is legitimately causing a security team nightmare. I guarantee you. Like, and that's going to be, and I feel like that's going to be, especially after this Claude Chinese agentic automated AI attack. I have a feeling that Windows is going to slip in terms of the preferred corporate operating system. Now, it may not slip. It may not slip entirely, but I think this is going to cause a huge chunk to be taken out of that share, because the thing about this is the way that Windows is pushing for this, we all know that option is not going to be, at the very least, it's going to be automatically on at some point.
At some point,
it's going to be automatically turned on. And that's a real problem for a corporate environment, because everybody in the in the C-suite right now, like people know not to give your AIs that you're using certain information.
Yes.
And you can't, like, you literally can't. In some cases, you literally can't. If you know that AI is there, there's like you deal with the DEA sometimes. Like that information, you can't just put that up to the AI. I mean, maybe you could, but it's
you can search certain things, but you're supposed to, like, they have like closed loop versions of certain things, so you can ask little more direct questions.
Yeah.
But again, if it's totally confidential, that stays off.
That's the thing. If it's totally confidential information, you can't put that into an AI.
Yeah.
And if your operating system has the AI built into it, that's a huge problem for the corporate world.
Yes.
Yep.
And here's the thing, like, you're talking about it as a, like a business tool, and which Windows is, going down the line. However, one of the things that's like in the back of my mind is, if you're a hacker, right?
Yeah.
It's like at this point, because of what it does, the agentic AI.
Yeah.
It's like, now my number one goal isn't to like hack your computer.
Yeah.
It's to figure out just how to turn that on.
Yeah.
Because once that's on, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
So, and you got to remember, like, if it's in a corporate setting, where they're just linked computers.
Yes.
It's like, if I can get one of them to do it, I can get them all to do it.
Yeah.
And, God forbid, there is one of those, day zero problem.
Well, I feel like that's the day zero problem. Like here's the day zero problem. We're introducing.
Where we forgot the security flaw.
Yeah.
You can turn the hackers can turn it on in a way we just didn't think of.
Yeah.
And now, like, they have total access to our systems, your systems. Like,
I feel like this is such a major problem because there is going to have to be a very serious reconsideration of using Windows in certain environments, and that's going to impact things.
And another thing to talk about, I just want to interrupt you for a sec, is they were saying smaller and smaller groups
Yeah.
can use this thing
Mhm.
to conduct larger scale attacks.
Yes.
But what you got to realize too is they're not only just saying a smaller group can launch a larger scale attack that way, like,
Yeah.
oh, if you have 10 people,
Mhm.
you can launch an attack of this size.
Mhm.
But if you take actually enough time, you can start cutting each one of those 10 people you do have out,
Mhm.
because you can program an agent
Yes.
to do what that one person would do.
Exactly.
Meaning, if you had one person who's just
Really good.
driven enough,
Yeah.
and really good,
Yeah.
he can just do the whole thing.
The whole thing.
You know, and
Yeah.
it's like, and once you have an AI that's also, you know, smart enough, agentic AI in
Yeah.
this case, he can basically back and forth with this thing.
Yes.
So it's like, you know, this thing's going to help develop
Yes.
all of these things for him.
It basically, well, I think in that article they were basically describing they were using Claude and giving it very specific prompts that would hack it in a certain way to help them develop these agents.
Yes.
So you could trick it into helping you.
Yeah, into helping you do this. And so even though you're like smaller and smaller groups, bigger attacks, it's like technically if you had one guy that's just super driven and good, he could just launch one of these attacks.
Yes.
Which is also a problem because now what used to take, like they said, you know, 10, 50 people.
Yeah.
One guy could almost do it.
Yeah.
Meaning now there's 50 of them out there.
Yeah.
That are free to each launch their own, and it's going to be bad.
And you know, and another weird question is how much, how much does the AI in a large scale able to remember and see all this and be able to intake it? So as in like, is this something that can be easily replicated again because the AI is familiar with it?
Yes.
And you could just trick it to do that again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, and one of the things that we don't see very much now, which I don't think the agentic AI takes into account either, is iteration.
Yeah.
Like most of the AI that we deal with, actually, they can pull up your prior interactions, but they don't learn.
They don't learn
from
the
their
big issue.
prior interactions. They just know of
Yeah.
your prior interactions. And they move the results based on everything that you've ever told it.
Yeah.
But it's not actually like learning from it. It's just like reference that and see, you know, change your ways a little bit.
Yeah.
But if we ever get a version that iterates on top of this.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like then
like that's
it.
Like and that's why it's like it once we get that, and they are working very hard to do that, to be able to have this AI do iteration properly. So once that happens, you know, back to basically what I was saying, I think that security teams are really going to compel corporate environments to start losing Windows, start going to something else. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was some sort of large tech company, maybe not one of the big seven, but a large tech company that does some kind of their own pen testing with this to force these companies to drop this shit.
Yeah.
As in like and they might do it total covertly. Nobody knows who it actually is, but it's actually another large company that launched a pen testing attack just to get these guys to knock this shit off with this agentic OS stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that wouldn't surprise me at all. However, it is time for gamers to rise up because the Steam machine is out. Steam OS works. Steam OS is the Linux operating system that can play all your games. And you could put LibreOffice on it too and have a whole Office suite. You could do and it's got Firefox. You could do whatever you want on it. And it's not fucking Windows.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, that's pretty much, because here, this is my view on it.
Yeah.
Is I pretty much, when I go on my computer,
yeah,
it's the internet,
yeah,
and it's games.
Yeah.
There's not much more.
Yeah.
Like, because if I'm doing business, I have my own laptop for that.
That's the thing, is
Yeah.
that everybody has their own business. You get your own business laptop.
Yeah. So it's like I don't really do much business
Yeah.
on that thing. So the Steam OS, there it is. That's all
Yeah.
I do. So and it'll cut out all that bloat.
Oh my God, that's the thing. That's one of the biggest issues right now in building a PC. You could customize a PC. You could make it look so cool. You could make it the most badass supercomputer, and then you got to fucking put Windows on it.
Yeah.
Like that's the only like. People don't like it, you know.
No.
People, that is the actual bottleneck of these systems.
Yeah, and I do
You
want
know?
to say this, that we are both people
Yeah.
that we don't use
Yeah.
Apple products.
No.
We use Windows.
Yeah.
And have forever.
Yeah.
You know, but you put Windows on it and there's a lot of bloatware.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, and SteamOS, I feel like that would help optimize your system, cut out a lot of bloatware, and I think the Steam machine is what, $500 or $700. It's comparable to a gaming console, and it's actually pretty hilarious that this is happening right at the same time that this is happening. Let me just pull this up and explain to you what's going on here, because I don't think a lot of people caught this. So this is the ROG Xbox Ally, okay? This is supposed to be an Xbox. This is basically the direction that Xbox is going in.
Yeah.
This is an Xbox. Now, let's look at what this Xbox runs. Windows 11 Home.
Oh.
Yeah. So Xbox is exiting the console wars.
Right.
And Xbox will now just become some shit. You remember Xbox Home on your PC that nobody fucking
No,
used
yeah.
for like 1 or 2 games, maybe?
Yeah.
That just like janked it in. You know, like that's what Xbox is going to become. And the reality is the Steam machine is coming out, and it's coming out in a way that it should have always been Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, Xbox should have never been made back in the early 2000s. The Xbox was an entire fabrication of like Microsoft being like, "Oh, we got to get into the hardware wars." No, you didn't. You
were
didn't
already
have to.
You're already winning it.
You're already winning at the heart. You just put like there's an alternate reality where, you know, Xbox is the Steam platform.
Yes.
Because they could have easily angled themselves that way.
Yep. And I was actually gonna word
Yeah.
it basically in the same, like,
Yeah.
we're almost in like that branch
Yeah.
universe where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, we wanted to make an Xbox. It's like, you're the computer.
Yeah.
Like,
Why are you making a console?
Yeah.
Why not just
In fact, if you would have just stuck with your road, you would have killed off Sony. Like,
yeah, you would have killed off, like, it would have been done. There wouldn't have been a console war. I mean, there's always Nintendo, but Nintendo's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're like integrated with the Japanese government at this point. But if Xbox didn't pull their stunt back in 2000, and don't get me wrong, we all love Halo, but that could have just been on PC.
Yeah.
It could have just been a PC game, you know? And it's wild to see it, but good on Steam because fuck Windows. People should be using Linux. You should be getting used to Linux, because I do think there is a reckoning coming for Windows. And further, I think this is gonna like, there's so many black swans around this AI bubble, and this is probably another one where Windows really banked hard, thinking that this is the core business model. We integrate AI into Windows, and then we make all this money. Well, guess what? People don't want you integrating AI into Windows, and just like from that one Reddit comment, apparently now they're fighting. And Windows, actually, I remember back in the day when Windows would fight you on the browser you wanted to use. Like, we don't want to use Edge, we want to use Google Chrome. It would like keep asking you to use Edge.
and not only, like, every time you updated it, it's like, oh, I forgot that you wanted Chrome as your. It's like, yeah, no, you didn't forget.
Like, when is it going to get to a point where Windows itself is just malware trying to trick you and shit?
Right?
You know what I mean?
Right, like moving like your icons around.
Yeah.
Or like making them look like things that you already clicked. Oh man, you clicked on the.
I feel like that already happens.
Right.
I've done that so many fucking times. I feel like it's intentional at this point.
Right.
But yeah, that's going to be a real problem. And basically, um, what do you think about the AI bubble and future projections and things like that?
So yeah, like for the AI bubble, that's happening.
Mhm.
In my opinion, it's unlike any of the bubbles we've had in the past, because the bubbles we've had in the past have been attached to the economy in such a way that the money going in,
Mhm.
even though it's circulated around the bubble,
Mhm.
did have a way to come out.
Right.
Meaning, like, it's still hooked in, money still flowing into our normal economy,
Yeah.
and like things are being gauged based on how well they're performing, even though they're still being developed.
Yeah.
This AI bubble, however,
Yeah.
there's an inlet for money
Yeah.
and there's no outlet back into the economy.
Exactly.
It's just circling in there.
And the fact is, a lot of that money is just funny money. It's just all lent money that they're hoping that they can get their projections high enough to justify these insane valuations.
Yeah, which is again, it is the definition of a bubble, but
Yeah.
I want to put it in a slightly different way where
Mm.
it's they're putting all of their eggs in one basket.
Yes.
They are taking all of their investment money,
Yeah.
all of their backing money, and they're just throwing it all in AI, hoping that it comes back at a return.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest issue with this bubble is it's literally what you said. They're putting all of their eggs into one basket, but it's like every corporate environment across America is we're all banking on AI working out and magically solving a problem that it's actually creating, which
Yes.
is like this crazy feedback loop,
which it's creating, and then on top of it, we've seen this before,
Yeah.
in a different way, and on a big scale, but a smaller scale than this,
Yeah.
and guess what? This bubble and the banks are too big to fail.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking, the whole government's gonna just have to get behind this and be like, oh no, it's too big of a bubble to
Yes.
let fail.
And that's the thing is so we'll get into Sam Altman's comments here. Hold on, let's see. Okay, we'll show this one. There's parts of this video. Shout out to Damon Cassidy. He did a really great video on this. Why the AI bubble was designed to burst. We're gonna look at some sections of this video.
Like at some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies screwing things up. I guess, given the magnitude of what I expect AI economic impact to look like, I do think the government ends up as like the insurer of last resort.
So he says that, and then he says this other thing, which is like, it just kind of shows his nervousness about it. Hold on, let me see.
OpenAI isn't even remotely close to being a profitable company.
How can the company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments?
First of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of
Yeah.
all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. If you I just enough.
So these guys are already talking about government's backstops, and they're getting increasingly nervous as they're not able to generate this revenue, this insane amount of revenue that they're projecting. OpenAI, it might have 700 million monthly users, I think even weekly users it might be, but they can't monetize like any of them. It's like 5% they're able to monetize.
Yeah, because here's the thing that you do not see any of these people saying, including Sam.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons what was being said at him there is making him so aggressive. And it's that they can't just point to something and be like, look, here's a product that generates money.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Yeah.
Because we've put in, like you said, like $1 trillion plus 13 trillion
Investment
into this.
Yeah. We're
And-
banking on that. Yeah.
And it produces money.
Yeah.
And they don't have that.
Yeah.
So all he can do is just be like, like he did there, where it's like, oh, I'm not gonna answer this in a way, and then like shit on the guy for being like, I can find someone that will replace you. Yeah.
And he got a huge amount of backlash for even suggesting government backstops, because you're just talking about 2008 again. You're just talking about the government bailing out the banks and the trust funds or the hedge funds, and it's just like we're reliving 2008 again. And he came out and said, "Oh no, we're not going to look into government backstops," but covertly, his CFO, his chief financial officer, sent this letter. I'm going to pull it up. So basically, OpenAI CFO went on CNBC and asked for federal loan guarantees to finance AI infrastructure. Then OpenAI panicked, backtracked, clarified, denied the whole cycle, but a leaked letter to the White House showed they actually wanted exactly what they publicly denied asking for. I'm not going to get into all that, but it's pretty interesting. So they're basically denying they need government backstops, and then they're asking for government backstops in case it all collapses, because they think their product is so integral to national security. And the thing is, it kind of is when you look at this agentic AI hack from China. It's a huge national security problem. But now we're going to build data centers in Saudi Arabia. Elon Musk says he wants to build a data center in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So it's like, how is that going to protect
security?
National security? How's that related to national security? And hold on, let me pull this one up, because this one is actually hilarious. And speaking of national security, you have Palantir integrated into everything, which is just a big can of worms. Like, the thing about Palantir, like, we could talk about Windows Agentic OS, and how, they have all of these backs, they have all these, preventions to prevent the AI from taking over your system and all that kind of stuff. Well, Palantir is going to be integrated into everything.
Yeah.
So if Palantir gets hacked, what happens then? Let's listen to the CEO of Palantir try to justify his company's valuation. And we'll see what you think about that.
I talked to some analysts who cover Palantir. I want your reaction to this. And I'll ask them, you cover Palantir, why isn't Palantir a hold? And here's what they'll tell me. They'll say, I like Corp, I like the company, I like the tech, but it is too pricey.
Okay, great.
It's too expensive. We're at nosebleed levels. What do you say to that?
How often have you been right in the past? That's literally my question. My question is...
That would be your question to the analyst.
No, I'm not going to engage on your prognostications of the future if your record... By the way, this is... As much as I like to bash analysts, and as much as many deserve it, it's really... There are analysts who are... I think some of the analysts say that. I think some of them say, look, I was wrong in the past, and now I'm looking deeper. So it's one can't generalize even about analysts. But I would say all sorts of people who have, let's say, all sorts of people that have negative attitudes towards Palantir, or broadly defined. The quote-unquote analyst who's like, nosebleed level valuation. The quote-unquote journalist that says we're powering the surveillance state domestically. The quote-unquote person that says I'm a conspiracy. The quote-unquote person, I don't know. There's all these things. In every country, there's a negative Palantir meme. What I would say to any one of them, and by the way, not just on this issue, there's persuasion and being right. One of the most important things you have to ask yourself is, how often has this person been right? And that is more important than, is it persuasive? If you, analyst, journalist, politician, if they've been right on 5 out of 6 things, and they say a 7th, I think one should assume they're likely to be right. What if they've been wrong about all those things? And by the way, where I do have a bone to pick with like traditional financial people, including their minions, the analysts, some of them, not all, is Do you know how much money you've robbed of people with your views on Palantir? Like, it's like they have all these views. There's no downside risk for their view. At what is like it really should be next to every statement. I said don't buy Palantir at 6. I said don't buy Palantir at 12. And the welder, plumber, technician who didn't buy it or sold too soon, I owe them money. And by the way, let me tell you something about Palantir that is very positive. By my reckoning, Palantir is one of the very few, if not the only, where the average American bought and the average sophisticated American sat on the sidelines or sold.
Why
part
is
of the
that?
day,
What do you think explains that?
yeah, because the average American was a lot smarter than they were and listened and was not bigoted, like was not held down by a whole set of training beliefs that were wrong. Like, what does it mean to build enterprise? What does it mean to have FDEs? What does it mean to go to market? What does it mean to get paid? Does your enterprise have to be parasitic? Should it be a parasitic? Should the host essentially be paying for the privilege of making your company larger and getting no value except for a weird feeling that you get from the parasite that you're better than you are? It's like essentially replicating the whole woke mind virus in the enterprise. They were open. By the way, they were also not only, they were not bigoted against some obvious truths that we've been saying for 20 years with, by the way, these views when they were not popular.
Like what, Alex?
Like America is a better way to organize and live than any other place in the world. That even though it's better, we shouldn't be exporting, or especially it's better, we shouldn't export. We don't need to export our values abroad. We need to be strong enough in America so that nobody screws with us, including my views on the border. Like we should have an actual border. We should have an actual culture. We should have meritocracy. We should not tolerate discrimination. And discrimination means against white males or whatever that is. We should build the best products. The products are going to have to be much better than any other products in the world, or they're not going to get implemented. I mean, all these things we've been saying for 20 years. And you know what? They pissed off a lot of people in the league. You know who they didn't piss off? The same people we're also making AI work for. The truck drivers, the plumbers. I run into people all over America and quite frankly, all over the world. People who have like normal means who are now rich because of Palantir. You know who's not rich because of Palantir? The people who read the analyst notes and the people who wrote them. And you know what? They're also still kind of angry because while they're cruising along in their broken down car, the person cruising next to them in their beautiful Tesla is an actual worker in this providing actual value who may have gotten rich on Palantir. By the way, I love that. It is nothing makes me happier than looking in my mind's eye at the bank executive who's hanging out with their thing, who's living on the drip of some high interest loan, watching some person who's free, American, riding their car, who did not go to an elite school, but knew enough because they didn't probably go to elite school to buy Palantir shares. And now are going to make even more money using our platform.
Let me ask you this. I want to end here.
All right, so we'll stop that there. But is this the guy? This is the head of Palantir. This is the CEO of Palantir. Do you think that this guy is going to be able to administrate basically a surveillance state? I mean, probably yes, but do you think that's a good idea for this guy?
Well, here's the thing. When you have a surveillance state in any sense,
yeah,
it's like no one, almost.
no one,
like, because
but this is gonna be the guy.
Yeah, absolute power, corrupts absolutely. And it would take a very special person to run a thing like Palantir.
Yeah,
and especially the vision of what he thinks Palantir should be.
Yeah. You think that's the right guy for that?
Absolutely not. When it really gets down to it, absolutely not. And this is one of the things that we have to, come to terms with is, do we really want these safety features these people are, pumping out at us like Palantir, or do we want, the freedoms to make our own decisions, think in our own ways. Yeah. Because that's what these are, coming down to.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about is, if the government starts having the levels of surveillance that they're getting, even talking about these things or
Yeah.
talking with someone who has ideas other than the mainstream ones
Yeah.
could become a problem.
Yeah.
And the way that they're building these security apparatuses, it's definitely heading in that direction.
They're picking winners.
Yeah.
And that's actually a huge problem, is they're picking winners first and putting all their chips in for them to succeed.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you think that this guy is able to get Palantir's evaluation beyond like $1 trillion or whatever crazy amount his projections think they are? Do you really think that's the guy that's going to do it? Because every time I hear him talk, he just sounds like a madman. He's like getting more exposed. Like these AI CEOs are kind of getting more exposed in terms of like they're just salesmen. They're just trying to.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
The CEOs are
Yeah.
By and large, they're salesmen.
They're salesmen. Yeah.
You know, and
it's gonna be the greatest thing ever. It's gonna help everybody. It's gonna be amazing for American security. And this is all the doubters can go fuck themselves. You know.
It's that whole thing we talked about earlier. Like,
yeah.
You know, Carpier has a vision of what he thinks Palantir and the future should look like.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't understand why people aren't just on his train.
It's like the Microsoft thing.
Yeah.
Like they're dumbfounded that people don't want this.
Yeah, like because that's basically what he's saying is like, I can't understand why don't people want this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's crazy, but it's understandable because like we said, they live in their own bubbles.
Yeah.
You know, to him this is the greatest idea that there could be.
Yeah.
You know, and you should back it.
Yeah.
But you know, like we are saying, you know, the amount of security state that this provides is just too much. It's off the charts.
It's too much, and it like all of these AIs converging and then fighting against each other probably is going to create its own national security problems.
Yeah.
You know? And not only that, but here we go. This is great. The headline of the article is Palantir CEO says a surveillance state is preferable to China winning the AI race. It's a very long article, so I'm not going to get into it.
I just want to say,
yeah,
a surveillance state basically is China winning.
Yeah, it is China. So, you know, another major issue with this AI bubble is the power generation for the data centers, the amount of data centers they want to build, they want to use. They're trying to put these data centers up everywhere, and you know, that's a very controversial subject. In fact, a data center just pulled out their application to set up in Montgomery County, north of Philadelphia. So, but the problem is that we don't actually produce enough power to sustain our grid along with the data centers in tandem. And this video breaks it down pretty well. This is also part of Damon Cassidy's video.
The second bottleneck is the United States doesn't have anywhere near the electrical capacity to sustain the data centers driving this AI boom. Each large-scale facility consumes enough energy to power between 50 to 100,000 homes, and the largest ones under construction could rival the electricity demand of entire cities. According to the International Energy Agency, data center electricity use is projected to more than double by 2030, becoming slightly more than Japan's total electricity consumption today. In Virginia, where an estimated 70% of the world's internet traffic passes through, Dominion Energy has warned it can no longer guarantee reliable power for new data centers without major infrastructure upgrades that could take a decade. Google's The Dalles facility in Oregon reportedly consumed over a quarter of the city's total water supply for cooling, while Arizona and Texas, two of the hottest, driest states in the nation, are approving billion-dollar AI campuses that will require more water and power than the grids can safely provide. And despite this, there are thousands of new data centers planned across the country by 2030, which means that even if the US can somehow manage to manages to control chip production, the very system meant to power artificial intelligence is running on infrastructure that's already been stretched to the breaking point. And while these companies claim to be building the future, it's the taxpayer who's footing the bill. Local governments are offering billions of dollars in subsidies, land grants, and tax exemption to attract these projects, while residents pay higher energy rates and lose access to power and water in the process. So even if and when this all collapses, the most dominant tech players will ultimately just consume the AI dominance for pennies on the dollar, while the costs become public, leaving Americans to pay for the fuel, the land, and the fallout of a system that was never built to serve them in the first place.
And then I think here it is. Silicon Valley data centers totaling nearly 100 milliwatts could sit empty for years due to lack of power. Huge installations are idle because Santa Clara can't cope with surging electricity demands. Two major facilities built for AI-era workloads remain unpowered while the city races to expand its electricity supply. In the heart of Silicon Valley, two freshly built data centers designed for the world's most power-hungry computing workloads are standing empty. Digital Reality's four-story, these ones, in Santa Clara, California, were both constructed to host tens of megawatts of high-density IT hardware. Instead, they're waiting for electricity. According to a Bloomberg report, both projects are complete but idle, with no firm timeline for full energization. Digital Reality's 430,000 square foot site was built for 48 megawatts of critical load. Stack's nearby campus, also designed for 48 megawatts, includes its own substation and 8 data halls. Together, they represent nearly 100 megawatts of capacity ready for servers, accelerators, and networking gear that cannot be switched on until the local grid catches up. It may sit empty for years. The publicly owned utilities are racing to expand supply. The city has 57 active or in progress facilities and is investing $450 million in grid upgrades scheduled for completion by 2028. SVP told Bloomberg it is sequencing power delivery among customers as new substations and transmission lines come online. The city's challenges mirror those emerging across the country. Northern Virginia, the largest data center market in the U.S., has faced multi-year connection delays as utilities struggle to reinforce high-voltage infrastructure. Regions in the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast are also reporting wait times of 2 to 5 years for new capacity. 2 to 5 years. Recently, Microsoft admitted it has GPUs sitting idle because it has no power for them. Silicon Valley remains prime real estate for operators chasing low latency proximity to users and AI developers. NVIDIA's headquarters just sits minutes away from both idle states, a reminder that even the global leader in GPU compute can't accelerate grid construction. The scale of modern AI clusters, often measured in hundreds of megawatts, is pushing local networks to their limits. So that is, in my opinion, we have all these Black Swan events happen. That we have a bunch of Black Swans in the lake circling us now, along with the Epstein shit, along with a number of other things. And I feel like this bubble's gonna pop, and it's gonna pop big. And even the CEO of Google, hold on, let me pull this up. Google CEO, if an AI bubble pops, no one is getting out clean. Even he's saying this stuff. On Tuesday, Sundar Pichai warned of irrationality in the AI market, telling BBC, "I think no company is going to be immune, including us." His comments arrive as scrutiny over the state of the AI market has reached new heights, with Alphabet shares doubling over value to reach 3.5 trillion market capitalization. He drew comparisons to the 1990s internet boom, 2000. Yeah.
So he's pulling up the big bubbles that we've had in the past.
Yes.
However, this is a bigger bubble than all of those bubbles.
Yes, because it's like this AI, this one egg in the basket of AI is propping up an entire house of cards.
Yes.
The entire economy. It's the entire economy.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize this, but things like Vanguard and your 401ks, which, generate interest by investing in stable markets,
Yes,
are all invested into these AI markets as well. So it's going to impact everything across the board.
Yep. And chances here's the thing. There's really two outcomes.
Yeah.
And like you said, no one's going to get out of this clean.
Yeah.
And there's the good outcome and the bad outcome.
Yeah.
And the bad outcome is, this bubble pops
Mhm.
and we bail them out
Yeah.
as much as bailout can be given.
Yeah.
All of the negative things that you can imagine from a large bubble going off are going to happen on a
Mhm.
bigger scale than we've seen
Yeah.
in the past. And we learn nothing from this and continue down this road where these companies have no oversight, no, any of this.
I don't, and I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But I don't think they are going to be physically, like mechanically able to bail them out.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
that's why I said to whatever
Yeah,
extent that
right.
we can.
Yeah.
And then there's the good one,
Yeah.
after all the negative that
Yeah.
one will bring. And by the way, that's the more likely of the two.
Yeah.
And then there's the good one where this pops off and then everybody starts questioning who's making these decisions, who's allowing these companies to just play in these gray areas that haven't
Yeah.
had laws in them.
Yes.
Who's where's the oversight? Where is the government?
Yeah.
Because the government and these companies have kind of just mixed together.
They've not only mixed together, but they've overtly become like surface level corrupt. The Epstein stuff, working with Saudi Arabia to this extent, like foreign countries, our allies like Sweden, are actually coming out and publicly stating that they're losing confidence in the United States. Like literally, what just happened with Sweden is they're not going to buy. They're not going to do defense contracting with the U.S. anymore for the fighter planes. They're going to go to Canada for their fighter planes.
Yep.
It's like, wow, okay. And they Sweden literally came out and said, because we just don't trust the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And
there's good reason for that.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I said, the good outcome is we start questioning these things.
Yeah.
And we make laws to make sure that stuff like this, not only this as in the bubble,
Yeah.
but this as in these companies,
Yeah.
are regulated.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
Yeah.
The reason Google is as big as it is, it's unregulated.
Unregulated. Same with and that's the thing. It's like what you said with the gray zones, doing where laws don't exist yet, and it's like Palantir has merged with the government and is entirely operating in that gray zone.
Yeah, it's
Like totally. Like we didn't we have a constitution against this?
Yeah.
Like the Fourth Amendment and shit. Like it's unreal.
Yeah.
You know?
The levels of things that they're doing now. Yes, it's absolutely it's unprecedented.
Yeah. And I don't think it's sustainable. Like mechanically, I don't think it's actually sustainable. I don't think the government is going to be able to press a magic bailout button. I don't think that button exists anymore. I think we were able to do that in the past because of other positive factors. But when you look at what's happening to the average consumer, we have subprime mortgages are back, subprime auto loans. That's a new one. That's happening. We have millions of home foreclosures, millions of auto repos now.
Yeah.
Like the average consumer is spending way less. Home Depot just came out and said, and Lowe's basically were both like, we're down because consumers aren't coming to our store to buy supplies to fix their house anymore. They're just holding off repairs because the market is just so bad.
Yeah.
You know, like
there's no money to go to Home Depot.
There's no actual like real liquidity left. Like we are actually operating in just this giant ocean of debt.
Yes. And one of the things that, again, this is from the beginning of our own economy.
Yeah.
That Ford pushed
Yeah.
was, the workers' rights, giving them more money.
Yeah.
And time off. Time off was a big one.
Yeah.
Because it used to just be like you go to work.
Yes.
When the sun rises, you go home when it sets.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that was to allow money to circulate.
Yeah.
And
I think people realize that.
Yeah,
That's why he did that.
Yep. And that actually made them richer too.
Yeah.
But no, now the money is, everybody's holding on to their money.
Everybody's holding on to their money, just waiting for that number to go up just into the next 3 months.
Yep.
Like we're just going to try to make it to the next 3 months, and watch the number go up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be the apocalypse, is a nerd screaming into an Excel sheet about the number going up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then even if all of these things for some reason stayed stable,
Yeah.
and I mean stable as in like they didn't pop,
Yeah.
then in the background,
Yeah.
the debt calculator is just
Well, that's the thing. This debt situation is so insane. Like, it worked for a couple decades, but the chickens are coming home to roost. Like, we have countries divesting from the United States because of the debt, and there's no.
So here's a question I'll throw at you then, because it's the question that's always been on my mind.
Yeah.
America, touted
Yeah.
as the greatest country in the world, and
Yeah.
by the way, I believe that to some extent as well. But the question that gets me is, we've had some of the greatest economists
Yeah.
in the world, born and raised here,
Yeah.
or brought here, or
Yeah.
whatever. They've been here.
Yeah.
They know our situation.
Yeah.
How does the basic, you can't spend more than you make,
Yeah.
just slipping by all of them?
I think it started with the creation of the Federal Reserve, when we decoupled physical value from and just basically turned into a debt-based system.
Yeah.
And because we're a debt-based system, you can get away with printing money for a couple decades, and it might work out really well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the king of the hill who has all the guns, and if things go south, you could just, use your guns.
Yeah.
But now the numbers are not making any sense anymore. The market has totally decoupled from reality. That is the reason why Michael Burry shut down his firm, is because he made the statement that it's actually impossible to make real valuations anymore, because the market is so decoupled from reality. The numbers don't check out. They don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
But for that time period, from like 1913 to 2008,
Yeah.
a little under 100 years, you could get away with a debt-based system where you just keep printing money. I mean, they didn't get away with it in 1929. They had to learn the hard way then.
Yeah.
That's like, so they didn't even really get away with it then. Like,
Yeah.
it's all been a Ponzi scheme, essentially, for the past couple decades.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the greatest economists have been here, and they're breaking the number, like the basic rule that a kindergartner would know.
But see, the thing is, you could be the greatest economist in the world, but if your entire life has been inside the Ponzi scheme,
Yeah.
it's pretty scary to look outside of the Ponzi scheme.
Right.
That I think that's one of the main reasons. It's pretty scary to look outside of the little Ponzi scheme bubble that you're in.
Yeah, because it just, again, it's one of those things that blows my mind, that we've gone past the point of just, like you said, we're in a debt economy, but we've also gone past the point of, like, you can't spend more than you make.
Yeah. Oh,
again and again.
Yeah, and that's why across the board, Zoomers are not getting credit cards. They're just using their debit cards.
Yeah.
Because they know, like, this is not going to work.
No.
No,
it doesn't work in the end.
Yeah.
And then you've watched this number go up, and for some reason you're still not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
It's just getting bigger.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, like,
well, it became raising the debt ceiling just became a thing that you do. I think even Trump said that it's just a thing we always do. We always raise the debt ceiling. Why are we raising the debt ceiling again? We always do. It's like, well, then what the fuck is the point of the debt ceiling?
Yeah. Like, you just blew up the ceiling.
Yeah, like it's just, and eventually it's gonna become funny money, and I think we're actually seeing that now. I think these AI, the big seven who are trading this bubble around. Let me pull this up, where it's all this circular logic. This is all funny money. This is all just. It's not even real money. I mean, there might be a couple billions in there, actual liquidity, billions invested into this. Maybe even tens of billions, but the projections that they have are totally absurd. It's just, I think all of these companies they're just playing with funny money now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just passing, like it shows, they're just passing the buck around
Yeah.
and then valuating themselves higher because the thing that they hope that comes into fruition
Yeah.
will be worth more than what they put in.
Yeah.
And it's turning out like that letter that you had.
Yeah.
That no, it's not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to expect the government to bail us out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at there.
Yeah.
See you next time, guys.